I'm delighted to be here with the author of this book, which I must confess I have read and can tell you it's really good. Not just as a book of history, not just as biography, but a story of the last century. And it's incredible because it's all the seismic events of the last century, almost. I mean, there were many more seismic events even after the 1980s and 90s, are in this book. And honestly, till I read this, although I've read a little of Vijay Pandit here and there as a non-historian, just as somebody who sees a book and reads it, I hadn't realized that one person could have been in every one of those things and had such an incredible tapestry of a life. So thank you very much for finding all this. Also, of late we've been thinking about what an archive means. And in many of the conversations about what an archive is, we felt that there is a lot that's getting lost because we are not many people are writing what's happening. Not many things are being preserved in writing. And many things through technology, they tell us that we could actually have a hole in history because technology could make much of it disappear if we do everything only through technology. So seeing how important it was to find these, to use these archives, to have the archives in the first place, and for you to go and look at every bit of paper, not just of one archive, and not just about one life, but about many things that made up that life. So, and if this sounds hyperbolic, read the book, and then we can have a conversation. Mm-hmm. So I actually have no business being here, because I'm not a historian, I'm not any of the things that should equip me to be here, but I'm delighted nevertheless. Today's lecture is going to be around the book. I think you'll be taking a lot from the book. I'm also hoping that you'll take something at least from your previous book, which led you to this book. So, this is just the formal introduction. Professor Manu Bhagwan is a specialist on modern India, professor of history, human rights and public policy, and I can see why you would be interested in Vijay Lakshmi Pandit. He's at Hunter College in the Graduate Center, the City University of New York, and senior fellow at the Ralph Bunche Institute for International Studies. He's the author or editor of 8 books, including the critically acclaimed The Peacemakers, India and the Quest for One World. He says in his introduction that this is what led him, working on Peacemakers led him to this book. And most, of course, his recent book, Vijay Lakshmi Pandit. We have with us also Geeta Sehgal, as we have other members of the family who we are delighted to invite here. I think it must really be a moment of great pleasure for you, and it's fantastic to have a person like this in your lives. Never mind if they are a few, generations away. I think it's fabulous to have them. So Geeta Sehgal is a feminist human rights advocate working on religious fundamentalism and secularism. That is, she works on it, not... Yeah, so she spent nearly 40 years in the UK involved with the Black feminist movement, opposing racism and fundamentalism. I think many of us here know her work. She's a member of the editorial collective of the journal Feminist Dissent. She's also a filmmaker who's made films on dowry murders, sati, forced marriage, war crimes, blasphemy, and apostasy. So we'll begin this evening. It's a real tragedy that Nayanthara Sehgal couldn't be with us. The intention was that she would be here. But I think maybe at least in part the virus that started floating around in our midst again, it didn't seem like wise for her to travel. And so Geeta has come. She will read out for us Nayanthara's statement. It's not a statement, it's what Nayanthara has to say. And then we will have Manu speak to us, after which there will be a discussion between Manu Bhagwan and Geeta Sehgal, in which I have promised I will interfere and interrupt. For now, Geeta, will you?
That's Usha.